Thank you so much. This is incredible for me. I am the unpublished writer here tonight, and I am honored and very thankful and very grateful for this opportunity. I am, as Dorian said, I am a recent graduate of U of T's continuing ed program in creative writing. And although it's not that I just discovered writing late in my life, I wrote quite a lot when I was young, and I fell into a career, I think, in as much for reasons to find a job that my parents would approve of, and I would do well in, and I fell into a career, and I think that through all of that, what I've learned is there's a great deal of joy and a great deal of satisfaction with that, but I was still missing something. So my thinking in reconnecting with writing, and certainly through my friend David, who's here tonight, he heard some of the things that I had written, and he had suggested that maybe we get together with somebody, and who was an editor, and she had suggested I pursue education. So I think I love poetry because I find it's an opportunity to express the inexpressible, or to paint with words, and I also love the efficiency and the tightness of it. So it has to be just the right word. So my work tends to be quite precise. I would say that it's like architecture, and I make each poem like a little story. The first poem I'd like to share with you is about a photograph. It's like the one that I saw recently in one of my mom's photo albums. I was sweet and young and innocent, and it was before all the trouble I caused through becoming a gay person and through coming out, which was even more difficult. It was very difficult for my mom and my dad, but more particularly for my mom, I think. It's interesting because I think in the photograph, it's as if it held something for her. It held for her the promise or the hope that she had for me. And photos have a way of keeping a memory alive. And so this poem is called Capture. It's how I felt looking at the picture as an adult. The distance is, in the poem, is intentional. And the words in the writing of the drift across the page, like breath, sometimes flowing and sometimes held. Capture. This is a picture of you inside you remaining. Behind a glossy coat, just a boy shut inside a moment. The past, captured memory, held, beheld and pressed in a frame, feeling invisible. This is a picture of you outside you, no longer a boy reflected in nostalgia. Your eye is the lens, your mouth the secret, your ear the wish. Once captured, then released, past forever present, because the body holds fragments like shards of glass, transparent, easy, and lethal. In this picture is a picture of you. Now, my mom and I survived the middle years. We survived the difficulty, I think, that she and I both had with each other, and I think found love and acceptance after all of that. My dad was a little bit more silent about all of this. I think he worried about me in his own way, but we never really talked about it. In this next poem, I am 13 years old in 1978, and I thought I was secretly gay, but apparently everybody knew. And no one ever talked about it, because no one ever talked about things in the 1970s. It was something that I think my dad struggled with. He tried, but he didn't have the language. And since he passed away in 2019, I've been speaking with his sister and looking more into family history. And I believe that he was swallowed about what I now recognize about as his own trauma. But here, I think at this camping trip, we arrived wounded, but also in understanding. Canoe trip with Dad. I was not weak. I blamed the wind. My paddle rage dipped, boiled the icy blackness, boiled like a memory. You said the wind is a bully, whipping lake skin into white knives. The canoe cut to shreds. Sliced secrets and severed tongues, wordlessly persevered, then made light of the silence by a fire, built out of suffocating wood. Each of us made the effort to avoid going under. That's about my dad. But it's yeah, and thank you. And honestly, at the time of his passing, so much had changed, so this is really about a sort of a moment of that time, the anger that I felt at my own sense of failure in respect to my father, trying to cross the lake, trying to do something that was manly, masculine, strong. It was really a powerful moment. I have a couple of love poems that I'd like to share right now. The first one is a glossa, and for those of you who don't know what a glossa is, it's a poetic form that uses 4 lines from another poet's work. And what you do is you write 4 stanzas, ending each stanza with one of the lines from that other poet's work. So you write into their work, and I really love it because it's for me, it's like a call and response conversation with past poets, and it's a way to reflect on an emotional theme or an idea, past to present. This one is from a series I've been working on, of glossas to gay writers from the past. Here, like a letter to Frank O'Hara, I explored the expression of love in a digital world based on 4 lines from his 1950s poem, love poem, To You. These are his 4 lines. And valleys full of sweaty ferns, breathing and lifting into the clouds, which have actually come low as a blanket of aspirations blue. From To You by Frank O'Hara. To Frank. Gay night, please stay and never age. The thought of dawn makes me want to wipe the sleep from my eyes and pull this blanket over our heads for another 60 years. So much has changed since you last wrote. A date these days is just a bait to hook the hookup. Love is a rock that's pushed around through blinded forests and blinding fields and valleys full of sweaty ferns. Or muscular mountaintops, just there for a rippling good view. But is it really all that hard? The love we crave, our mothers crochet in gossipy groups and twisted yarns. You see, there's so much now at the internet buffet. I fear our loop will catch, unravel, and fray. Because we want what's rare, with all the coupling, uncoupling going on these days, to wander into quixotic dreams, breathing and lifting into the clouds, building brittle castles in the sky. And if they fell, they would surely break into a million possibilities. You once said, each time my heart is broken, it makes me feel more adventurous, like an echo. This is beginning to sound familiar. Every swollen promise tips the scale in favor of defenseless white picket fences, expectations lit as hopeful as hemlines in spring, which have actually come low this season, reflecting a trend into false modesty, preventing a truthful vulnerability from settling into technologies, addictive, swiping, swaying, cologne-tinged and darkened rooms. I fell asleep again, my phone on my chest. Come, let's escape this blindness, look up, blinking into the sky, and cover the wandering eye as a blanket of aspirations blue. And here's another aspect of love in the 21st century. It's called raccoon. You scratch at my door for a place to rest, a 6 a.m. smudge after a wild night out. Coarse hairs, slicked back thick, patted down, respectable, itchy mustache, that smile. Hello. Not quite a bear, more fastidious, sharp, and cunning. Your persistent gaze and well-oiled charm moved into me and stayed. Feral instincts twist and fade in the hard shadows, and habit lumbering bones and bite at the lip of the languid urban forest. This one is quite light. This one's fun. This is about, because I like coffee, and so this is about drinking coffee and waiting in line at a certain coffee shop. It's called a tall vanilla soy latte. So this tall vanilla soy latte waits in line at Starbucks during rush hour one morning behind a seriously hot venti mocha no foam quad, and she thinks to herself, if he was soy or even oat, she would totally go out with him. When she is accidentally bumped from behind by a short double espresso who rushed in behind her, along with a skinny caramel brulee frappuccino, a living contradiction of terms in her opinion. And that's when the barista called out, oat venti mocha no foam quad and a tall vanilla soy latte. He turns to give her a little smile within a second for her to think as they're whisked up and carried out into the morning sun. This is one that I wrote about my younger sister who passed away at the age of 38. She drowned, and she drowned in a very unusual way. She drowned in her hot tub in her backyard, and it can happen. And I wonder, you know, to this day, how and why. But I also think to myself, I'd like to think that it was peaceful, that it was quiet. So I wrote this called She Slips. Out here, golden breeze paints hypnotic strokes that lit the sandy lips of the sea. Seagulls sweep, whispering cerulean sheets over distant waving poplar greens. Silvery turns now look away. Her languid drift, and drifting sounds slip in, slip out. Her head tilts up to gaze into a brittle sky, reflecting glassy-eyed and tilt again. Then back, then forth, then back and forth to take in air between dips and slips and slipping deep into her endless azure. And one last one. Okay. Yeah, we have time? Good. Someone the other day used the word behooved and I thought words that start with B, bedazzled and bespattered. And I thought to myself, that's funny. And so I thought I would write something quite funny about that. It's a fable. You can call it a fable. Beautiful, bejeweled, and beleaguered Belinda behooved to be quiver in bed beneath the bewhiskered, beblemished, and besotted betrothed Bernard. At the behest of the besmirched and bitterly bedeviled uncle Baron von Behemoth, beholding her to beget again an ill-begotten booty. Behave, else be beheaded beneath a quivering blade, leaving behind a betrayed, bewildered Bernard. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to Brockton Writers Series, to you, everybody, all my friends who have come tonight, my goodness, my writing group as well, Lucia. And so thank you very much. I really appreciate it.